First order of business, approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the August 23rd, 2018 regular session meeting.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then staff report.
Okay. Pickleball lines have been added to the Smith Fork Park tennis courts. We added a walkway to Heritage Park from the existing walking trail to the new parking lot. We are working on the wildflower sidewalks now. We did the water tap today to get a frost-free hydrant in that park as well. Started working on the Christmas tree frame. We've got meetings about Christmas upcoming, decorations and whatnot. Soccer program had youth night on October 11th, which we had good feedback with. Special events, bike race, barbecue, street fair, movie night, homecoming. The haunted campground is this Saturday, 4 to 8:30, down at the campground. We stayed open this year and have had good responses on camping. It'll be a busy weekend down there, so that's from 4 to 8:30. Adult softball wraps up Saturday with the end of the season tournament. Matt's been helping with the basketball program here in town. It's not one of our programs. We're just kind of assisting, helping get the word out, and Matt's kind of seeing how it goes and at their request. So that's been keeping Matt busy this week. Highlights of the 2018-2019 budget. I know we, at our last meeting, discussed things that we'd like to see included in that. The biggest we'll be discussing on the next item is the Heritage Park playground. Also included are re-landscaping irrigation at Remembrance Park, which is around the gazebo and War Memorial across the street here. Repairing the Smith Fork playground surface at the spillway. It's a pouring place surface. It's got some holes and cuts in it. Those will get fixed hopefully yet this fall. And then walking trail improvements at Heritage Park, the low area between the old tennis courts and the existing playground equipment. They will hopefully raise that up. Right now we've been pumping it after it rains. So those are the highlights of the different projects that were included in this year's budget. That's all I have for my report.
Anybody want to move to approve them? Okay, moving on, recommendation for Heritage Park Playground, please present.
I can kind of go over the feedback we got. So these are the boards we had out at the copy at the mayor. I believe the most votes went to Holy Cow. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, 13 votes.
The only thing that you see in the picture that is not as included is the concrete steps around the hill slide. So we'll do something with that, some sort of steps. Or I mean, they'll be at the top also. Climbing wall or something to figure it out. And did you get a quote on doing partial grass?
I did. I've got a couple different options. Since that seemed to be how the evening went last Thursday, people went with, early in the night seemed to be more concerned with the surfacing and not wanting a loose fill. And then by the end of the night, more people were interested in getting more equipment. So I've got, what he did was he had to take some things out of the proposal to keep it within budget as far as the slope slide, removing the line with the ball cap, replacing the climbing spinner with the standard spinner that was in the other two designs, and as well as the climber that attached to this climber, the existing climber, and the net structure. Here's kind of how the layout would be as it compares to what's up there. So the larger area would be the turf area, which would include all of the inclusive amenities. And then the single climber without the slide attached, that had to come off too, would be in the mulched area. That would be something we could add to. It's a lot easier adding air, if we were to put those back into an area that's got mulch rather than the turf. He said if you cut into that turf, it's hard to get it all matched back up again. In the ballpark for that, to put the rest of the 3D nets back and the slide attached to the climber was approximately $75,000. That did not include adding the hillside slide back in.
Yeah. I think that we stick with it the way it was voted on then, if it's gonna be that big of a difference.
Can I personally, for inclusiveness, really like the other spinner
I do
better
too.
than the rope one.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna
Because-
ask about that.
Yeah, you're immediately cutting a whole group of kids out that can't use that. And I'm like, two spinny things, we have so much climbing stuff already, do we really need another one then?
Yeah, I think the only thing I was gonna ask for, if this was gonna be too expensive, is to replace that climbing spinner with the inclusive spinner. Because a lot of kids did like that.
Right. Yeah, that shouldn't be a big deal.
And that actually might be a deduct over the total overall cost. So
Where is it? Though, that is all, if we go for the original concept, it's all on, it's the fiberwood, is that right?
it's
Yes, engineered wood fiber,
It's not
yeah.
like regular mulch.
Okay.
It's ADA compliant.
Okay.
And then we can always look at, do some other stuff later for you too. But taking away that many amenities, that's why people voted on it, because it had the equipment. But yeah, you can ask them about replacing the
Switching that, yeah,
switch of the spinner.
yes.
Because you're right, there's like 3 different climbing things and only the
Yeah.
inclusive swing.
It's very climbing heavy, yes.
Well, and even the rockers, like, that's not really something that someone, like a kid from a wheelchair can get
Yeah,
into,
Kevin
whereas the
wants to
spinner
do
you
it.
can. Do what?
Kevin wants.
Oh.
Only if it's an elephant.
It's not.
They get a vote on what animals?
We could ask them. Yeah, horse.
I think he was joking.
You got a lion. You wanna replace the lion?
So the first one is how it was
So we're doing a
proposed.
baseball
That's what was
animal
there.
thing?
That's what you had to take off.
It looks like it.
I don't see any
Yeah.
cows in that for it to be called holy cow.
Yes.
I'm slightly offended.
Take it off, put it.
It's the baseball, holy cow.
So,
All right,
you
so.
want to make a motion and vote
Yeah.
on that recommendation?
And the swing, one of the swings is one you can put a wheelchair in or not?
Yes, one of them is an adaptive swing, a freedom seat,
Okay.
as
And
well
then
as
there's
a
also
connection
the front.
seat, which is the one that
Yeah.
faces, yeah.
There's some better pictures of those on the wall.
This is information you probably don't have with you, but is there a weight limit on those two,
Not sure.
on the connection? Okay, I just wondered. I was just thinking, no, I was just, jeez.
Jeff and I can test it.
Okay, I was just thinking, could you have an adult and like a middle school teenage child?
One of the pictures, I believe, has 3, I mean, one of them's a baby, but there's
Okay.
grandma and then 2 grandchildren of various
I just didn't know if
ages.
there would be like an adult and then child like age limit that you could like put both of them in there, so. Does anyone else need to look over anything before we
Questions?
make a recommendation? Questions, anything?
I plan on signing the bid at the next Alderman meeting, so it gets approved by the board.
Do we need to make a formal
Yes,
recommendation?
yeah, let's make a motion.
Anybody?
So I move to approve a recommendation to the board for the Holy Cow Plan View Number 1 with the exception of replacing the common spinner with an inclusive spinner.
Second.
All right. And any discussion, questions at all? Yes? You pointed.
No, I'm sorry, we're
Okay.
trying to get through the second one, sorry about that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, next up is the 4-H and other Mizzou extension programs. Who's presenting on this?
So, we had our first 4-H meeting Monday. It looks like they're gonna get it chartered. They got some parent volunteers to step up. The Mizzou extension crew is in Columbia this week, which they are also presenting, and Ken is gonna be presenting tonight, asking for some assistance with that as well to go along with 4-H and what Mizzou extension is working on doing in the North End. So, Sarah, who spent, pretty much every other week at Farmers Market, she's been spending a lot of time with Matt also, trying to get some other programs going in Smithville. And she just won an award for her work that she's been doing in North End from the university this week. So she loves it. She had that whole section filled with people and a lot of people on the email that are going to get 4-H going. So
I've always wondered why we don't have 4-H here.
now we do. That's all I got.
All right. Nothing to vote on there? Anyone have any questions for Damien for that? No? Okay, sponsorship catalog?
This is one that, something Matt put together 2 years ago.
Year ago.
So Matt and Brenda put this together kind of, and Alderman Blumker had sent me some stuff on baseball field fencing and stuff as well. I just want everybody to be aware that we have this out there. Probably going to get it shared more public. So we can start getting some sponsors around our fields and stuff to try and help pay for some of these things. If you look at the budget, we had a long list, and a short list was approved. So the more things like this that we can pull the money into the programs, the more things we can get done.
Yeah, the sponsorship catalog is something I want to try to hit heavy the first of the year, since we did adjust our registration fees to help get that back up now in the next couple of months would be great. Obviously for most businesses around here as well, which is another benefit of it. And, when the construction is done, people will start going back through the highway out to the lake. I mean, that's thousands of people that go through there. So with the baseball fence there, and then also the soccer fence around there, it's a great place for advertising.
I think this looks great. I might start hitting it hard a little bit earlier. You know,
Okay.
people are making budgeting decisions on what they're gonna spend for the year.
Is this a tax write-off that someone can do for their business?
No, it's sponsorship at this point,
Sponsorship,
that,
okay.
I mean, it's not a charity.
Okay.
I think a 4x8 Sweet Springs Hospital until now.
Be excellent.
You know, I loved it. Well, I'm wondering if you guys considered targeting mailers out to businesses, you know, or shelves.
I haven't done much work on that. I need to obviously get that a little harder here, so I can do that.
Well, that's really nice.
All right, anybody have anything for that? Questions?
If there's anything you need me to add on there that you see, let me know. Obviously, it's
Yeah,
still-
we've
still
been
kind of
adding to
around,
it
but
as we've come up with different
been around for a
opportunities.
couple months now, so.
Yeah.
I assume this is on the website somewhere.
Not yet, it's
Not
still.
yet. You can get me a link or something, just email it to me, and I'll get that shared in a couple different places.
I
Is
do
this also what covers movie night? Is it the same sponsorship?
No, but we could, I mean, add
We need to add
maybe
that.
on there as
I was
well.
just thinking, if it covers that too, I can always just add that onto that page as well.
So silly question, say I wanna do it, who do I contact?
Matt,
No, might wanna put it in.
That'd probably be great.
Well, what's the plan to contact local businesses? Do you have like a calling plan or hire an outside third party to do it? Because there's third parties that also do that for you and call local businesses.
When we did the movie night, we did a big hit at the Chamber of Commerce where lunch meeting there, and that was huge. I was
Okay.
filled up pretty quick after that kind of thing.
then we went to businesses where we spent a lot of money,
That makes sense.
even in our department and in our day-to-day, you know, suppliers and stuff. And yeah, we got that filled out pretty quick.
We've been in contact, when we first started building this, we got in contact with Liberty Parks and Rec and asked who they got their banners through, and so if that does happen, we do go through maybe someday.
I think we've got a couple of those businesses in town too, right?
Yes.
Looks like banners.
Mm-hmm. That's where I got these.
Anybody else? Questions or anything for Matt, for Brett?
Well, I have to say, it crossed my mind looking over it, and maybe it would be totally obtrusive for the parks system. However, if there weren't small swaths of land where it's not directly influenced inside a park, like say the one over driving towards Maple, that maybe that's what we're talking about with this, but just a billboard, you know, more city revenue. I just billboards crossed my mind, almost, you know, just if we didn't have areas where we could run out billboards, you know, in the future.
I think something close to that is what we're looking at with the adopted park program too, right?
Yeah, we're working on that as well, yes.
Park adopted by the owner, uses the existing signage. So yeah. Because those are bigger dollar sponsors.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice? All right. Next we have Mr. Purdue.
You guys are up.
if I brought enough, I'm hoping I did, so.
We can share.
Okay. Well, I'm Kevin Purdue. Been a Smithville resident for 20 years. I'm the former director of sustainability for Staples, the office supply company, and now a local farmer and environmental consultant, and business partner, Lieutenant Colonel Eddie Sedlock.
Yeah, so I'm full-time military, right now, 20 years in, and about to retire, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm an environmental science guy by education, out of Ohio. So we've located here, we're gonna stay here, not in Smithville, a little bit further south on 169. Through Ken, I met Ken through Certified Naturally Grown, and I've started up a farm down there. I'm really interested in the kind of the sustainability push and identification and education of really the folks that want to be sustainable. So I'm pretty interested in your interest here. So when Ken asked me about coming on to help out, I was super interested in it. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And Eddie's got a lot of experience in farming, and also working with communities around the world. So in the proposed scope of work that we have, we really have multiple different components. It's creating edible landscapes for agroscaping. That's really where Eddie's expertise comes in, but that's just some new words for something we used to call community gardens, but it's much more advanced based on the technology, what we know about the environment, what we know about stormwater runoff, native plants, etc. So Eddie, you want to talk a little bit about agroscaping?
Yeah, sure. So if I had to define it, so that's awful. So I took I'm in the process of a certification through agroscaping, and it's really to be an educator. Again, my passion is to lead change and lead change for sustainability. And so when I found agroscaping, I kind of melded into them. So if I had to define what it was, it's an elegant, edible landscape. And it's the process that's not a weekend garden, because nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to build something that takes 3 hours of weeding to maintain. It is literally a process that, with the right balance of size and then the plants that you want, you can both, obviously sustain your family from it, and then build health, build community relations, build family relations, and teach your kids about how to garden. And so that's kind of what it is, and I was super interested in the agroscaping writ large. They're pretty big out in Phoenix, and actually the community of, I forget what it's called, but they've literally created a movement out there, a health movement, and it's pretty impressive, where there are a lot of folks in the community very interested in building a small garden that looks wonderful, that they can show off, that instead of dumping $5,000 into a landscape that's not going to pay me anything, and I just need to keep putting mulch on it, it's literally, well, I can grow what I want for my family, and it fits within an HOA, and it looks pretty cool, and it's an education platform. So that's kind of what it is. Go to the next one here. And so Field to Fork in 5 steps, and that's just the process, the design process. It helps connect us back to our food source, and if you ask any kids these days, they're pretty interested in where their food's coming from. They're reading the labels as much as I think our parents are. They want organic. They want to know where things are coming from. So it's helping build that education back, and I think there's an educational loss right now in our society, where our parents and our grandparents all knew how to do this, and now that we've kind of separated ourselves from those generations, we need to get back into how to sustain our communities. So the next bullet there is improving your local food economy. If this is done right, if it's done even partially right, the food economy improves. And literally you can take the food from multiple separate plots that are planted and sell them under a Smithville banner, Smithville Farms banner at a farmer's market, to where, now we're starting to employ folks. Now folks are understanding whose plot this food is coming off of, and it's kind of self-contained. Builds a community. I like the second to last bullet there, love, science, and health, and I'm all about that. And then, of course, creating living masterpieces. So that's my kids there. Whether they like it or not, they're now agroscapers, and they're in the process of learning it. And it's a challenge to appeal to the youth, I'll just tell you that, because not many of them want to go out and work. They'd rather play on their Xbox. But when they start to see, they have answers for other kids in schools. And it's, when they're out there working, parents notice, the other kids notice, and so those children are starting to become leaders in their community. So it's a pretty neat thing. And there's just a couple little pictures of what I did in my backyard. And now, of course, I have Agape Community Farms down there, so I've gone farm to table or farm to market with a lot of the products out of my own agri-ski. Small, with the science and the technology involved, it doesn't have to be huge. In fact, the bigger it gets, the more labor intensive it is. So, my coaching for myself would be, if I had to do it over again, go smaller, have a great design, and really try to coach your family into it, right? And kind of reverse design it off of what the family wants. My wife asked me, well, why did you grow cabbage? Why did you grow this? I don't like that. Well, sweetheart, if you would have sat down with me when I asked you, why would I have grown carrots and beets and all these other wonderful things? So it's a process, and I have their interest. So I think if it's done right, the community will have an interest in it. And it takes a little bit of inertia. So that's kind of what agri-ski can do.
All right, thank you. So on the proposed plan, we looked at the agriscaping, which is, as you can see, 5 simple steps for community gardens. So it's not a long, drawn-out process, but it's scalable. We've got 4 different parts that we're proposing it in. We have certifications because as a Cerner Corporate, or Cerner generation is what I like to call them, another word for generation, for millennials, younger millennials, Generation Y, Generation Z, as they get families and they move from North Kansas City, they're going to be looking for suburbs to move to, and what they want to do is validate, is this aligned with the interests that I have, with the community interests that I have. And so we wove into the scope of work some environmental certifications as well as certified naturally grown certifications. Looked at expanding Smithville Farmers and Bakers Market, native wildflower plantings, and rain gardens, because rainwater collection, as you're aware, could get very expensive, and so how do you make that, as Eddie put it, in an elegant fashion? And how do we pool all our resources that we have here in Smithville, and rather than putting the work on the Parks Department, getting volunteer networks and collaborating all that to come together where the new 4-H, the Johnny V. Brock's FFA groups, the NRCS, Missouri Extension Office, all work together to bring things together. So I'm going to skip over this slide for the sake of time. So under the scope of work, this is really what we want to talk about the assessment.
Yeah, so the assessment, Ken and I drove around today just to try to, well, number one, just to take a look at it. So I'm objectively looking at Smithville coming in, and I really actually love what the Streetscapes is going to do for the city. It's pretty exciting. And we went around to the couple of parks that we're talking to here, and really the assessment phase is just assessing everything from the demographics, your food map, and there's a separate slide in the back on that, and really what does your environmental food map look like? Where are the resources, where aren't the resources based on the demographics? What are the corner stores, the convenience stores selling? How far is the nearest supermarket? When you've got your folks that can't readily travel because they don't have a car or they're depending on a son or a daughter to take them, how far do they have to travel to get healthy food? So there's great studies out there on this mapping of a community. And so really, that's what we want to do, is map the community out and try to show you guys, or show you guys objectively now, okay, this is what we've got, and here's what makes sense, we believe, in terms of, an assessment in a design. So that's the assessment phase, is we literally go around and look at, what you have, what are the problems, what does the community look like, in terms of aligning. That's where I think you guys come in with the community leadership, is what does the community want to see? What if we're going to grow certain things, do they want a berry farm? Do they want small orchards? Do they want native plants and trees that you can, I know deer pressure is bad here, so that's another part of the assessment there. So what does the community want, and what does the community leadership want? What do you want to showcase here for Smithville, for those folks coming up out of Kansas City? And then once we have that assessment and then the alignment done, the inputs from the community, it all comes together within the design, right? So the design of, multiple steps after that of implementation. So we go out, we do a, professional design of an agriscape or an edible park with walking trails through it. It doesn't have to look like a common row garden. We want to go away from that, right? We want to really involve edibles around places where people work, where people, go to the park. What's the one with the lake out here that we were at? Yeah, beautiful out there. When I was there with Ken, I'm looking and I can just see a low-cost trail with some peat gravel on it and, little plots planted to both control erosion, to watch the runoff that's going in the lake there, so we help the fish population. At the same time, you're growing herbs, whether it's, neat things that people can see and they look beautiful, and it's sustainable. So really, the sky's the limit with this, and, if you look at any of the big, huge, mega cities that are planted on roofs, that's kind of the limit, right? And I think, but if we start small and build community interest, it can be something pretty cool. And again, it's the process, because if we build a garden, somebody's going to have to maintain it. So it's got to be the 4-H folks, it's got to be the scouts, it's got to be the school that's over there from next to Wildflower Park. Or the high school up the street here that maybe starts an educational program that they get a certification from, and they walk out of high school now, as part of their vocational education, they walk out with a certification of, hey, I can do this agriscaping thing, and I've got it. And there's funding streams available for that. We would have to think about that, but I don't want to underestimate or I want to underscore that it's the process that will make this successful.
So on the scope, we're collaborating with the community to bring this all together. I don't want to bypass that. As you can see, there's business development, there's the environmental side of things, but we cannot rule out the business development as well as community development, creating rehabilitative job opportunities. That's just a challenge we have here in Smithville, is getting people started out of jobs. Get somebody being agriscaping master, get an educational process involved, attract corporate franchises, and create a real circular economy. So there are the 4 parts that we propose, as well as Smithville Farmers and Makers Market. Talked about the certifications. So within Smith's Fork Park, one of the things that one of the first things that I would do is make sure that we were on the Missouri agritourism site. Now, right now, if you go to Missouri Show Me Mo website, you have to dig to find Smith's Fork Park. And so to actually get that up there, there's only one business in the Smithville area that's listed on there, and it's 3 Link Coffee. And agritourism is a big business, and so getting people to come out. So I'll give an example. I had somebody, I'm on hip camp for my farm, and people can come out there and camp. And I didn't get any hits for people coming out camping until I put it on their agritourism. And then people came out and literally paid me more money to pull weeds or to pick things. And I was like, this is crazy. But agritourism is a big thing. People want to experience agriculture because it's part of our heritage. So imagine with Smith's Fork Park putting a rain garden and agriscape down in those low spots that we usually have to cordon off during the wet seasons that have tape around them, and collecting that rainwater, putting some native plants that will absorb that rainwater. That way we don't have all the cooling that goes on down there, and put some trees that help grow that, some native landscape. Do a tree inventory. There's some beautiful trees all around the city, and I don't think, and just the educational value, a lot of people will sit there and say, trees, we know they sequester carbon, but there's financial benefits to it, not only from a city standpoint. This model is based off of a red maple from 10-inch diameter red maple that is $172 a year, and we have one of those right over here in the Courtyard Park. And so that's what the value is, not only for the city, but also for homeowners. So we can educate the people on that. That would be huge. The other thing that we're proposing, and all 4 parks are scalable, so, and we did the scope of work, you'll see that there's phase 1, 2, and 3. When we designed this, we designed it to where if you want to take this and go without us for the next phases, you could do that, because it'd be scalable not only to the cities, but also to subdivision developers, so they can take it to their parks, like Forest Oaks, they have that golf course back there and that walking trail. So imagine them being able to take that and scale this concept into that. Kerns of Wheat is something we propose for the 83 acres that's out on Smith's Fork. Kerns of Wheat is a perennial wheat, so they don't have to plant it each time. We do have a local young farmer who's very interested in that. The airport, New KCI Airport, is looking at putting that all around there because it sequesters carbon quicker than any tree would for an acre of land. So it helps the city become carbon neutral, but it's perennial. You don't have to plant it. 25-foot root system. It's taking out the rainwater. And your standard fescue has only got a 2 to 3 inch root system. So that's why you get so much runoff. But that would be a proposed cost share program and revenue share program. So I know Smith's Fork Park is already a revenue neutral based on the camping, from what I understand, and the lease that you have on it. But that can become a revenue positive and educate tourists on it, and then be doing pollinator projects. Helvey Lake, we talked about the agriscaping, again, a tree inventory, rain garden, native plantings, wildflowers, and maybe getting Johnny V. Brock's FFA involved, the NRCS office. Wildflower Park, because of Eagle Heights, really tied in environmental education to that. And I think we often don't appreciate the value of the resources we have right here in Smithville. Like the chairman of the board for Kansas Association for Conservation and Environmental Education is a resident here in Smithville. And he's a retired science teacher from Kansas City, Kansas. And for him to be able to come in and he goes out and does water testing at Smithville Lake once a week. So to have somebody like that that's in our community that can take this to the kids with Project Learning Tree and educate them on what are the values of the tree, what type of grass is this, is just tremendous. And then there's the Missouri Environmental Education Association. And again, everything is scalable here. Could we take that park and, there's been talk, possibly take goats out there once a week so the kids can experience that. So it's just, wildflower is independent of the rest of them, but it can be unique because of the proximity to the school. And then Diamond Crest, same sort of thing. And then Smithville Farmers and Makers Market, had the privilege of helping Jeff and Trenda start that 3 years ago. Called Jeff up and he said, yeah, let's go ahead and start going. So he got the Lions Club to sponsor it on Wednesday nights. It went from 5 vendors to I think over 25 vendors. And if you've ever been down here on a Wednesday night, it can get pretty packed down here. It's got great traffic, great for the community. So how do we expand it into Saturdays and get new vendors, new people? So, maybe your restaurant can come down on Saturdays and participate, or just make it a little bit different than the Wednesday night one. But, Saturday can really grow, and that's when a lot of the other areas have their markets. And so we can, I think, have a tremendous opportunity to grow that. So that was pretty much everything that we had in the scope of work. We just put it in the PowerPoint presentation. Questions that you have on the scope of work?
What does a pollinator program look like?
So, we were debating whether we put that as a pollinator program or wildflower project. They're synonymous, but one denotes having a lot of bees around, and which is a liability. But we have those liabilities anyway with any flowers we plant. But it's usually native wildflowers that are put in. If you want to see, that's a bad time of year to see it right now, but there's a wonderful 5-acre pollinator project right off Little Platte Road at 3630. I don't know the guy's name on the north side, but he's got 5 to 7 acres in beautiful pollinators. But it's all native grasses. And so, but the nice thing about it is it controls soil erosion, controls water runoff, and then it also brings back the pollinators. And if you do any studies on that, well,
Monarchs,
yeah,
honeybees. I mean, the NRCS is begging people for acres of land to plant what, you know, we eradicated milkweed, right? We were paid to eradicate that over the years, but now we're realizing that the monarchs are going away, and those little things in the ecosystem really help a lot. And so if you had a pollinator field, during the migration season, you'll have thousands of butterflies. And hummingbirds and everything else. It's not just the bees. So that, yes, there will be bees, obviously, but that will help immensely in terms of just the the local, what you can grow based off of the pollinators that you're attracting. So I think the farmers will appreciate that too.
I asked, my dad and I keep bees back home. And a lot of times he would get paid just to, like, a farmer has a field of watermelons or whatever, and they would pay him to set them out there. But I didn't know if it was something, if the pollinator program is something where we actually have bees that we put out on that, or if it's just creating an atmosphere where they're happy to hang out in.
That would be something the board would have to decide if you
Yeah.
want to assume that liability. But if you don't put the bees there, if you don't put hives there, you'll still attract bees, but you won't attract them in such density. You'll be getting a variety of the pollinator ecosystem.
This is a really interesting proposal. Is there a community where you've gone and done this, or places we can go kind of take a look and see what this looks like?
Yeah, so we think Eddie's Place is a great aquascaping tour. And then I've got my place out west of town, but his is probably the best one for us, or what we
It was. It's now the frost came through, so.
Yeah, but you can still see how it's set up with the water gardens. And then Bridging the Gap has the rain gardens, and there's a lot of cost share out there. A lot of everything proposed, there's tremendous cost share out there. Like there's a grant that is out there right now that fits right into the scope of work for $7,500 cost share. And that's 1/3 of the proposal right there, but it's due tomorrow. It's a challenge on that one. But it comes up all the time. The wildflower plantings is another thing, tremendous cost share out there.
And Clay County actually has a wildflower program too, that they have a person out that's Clay County Parks out here that we could tap into as well.
I'd love to see the swamp turned into a rain garden and a thing.
See what?
Which park is that considered? It's named-
Hawthorne Park
Is that
is
Hawthorne
what we've,
Park?
yes, Swamp Park is, it's
The swamp.
known as,
Natural rain garden.
it is
But it's,
becoming quite the rain garden.
It's wet all the time.
We've got some native trees that have come up.
It's just across Bridge Street. Yeah, it's just across Bridge Street.
Yes.
And now we're looking at those. They're beautiful.
Yeah, some good cattails. There's water.
Yes.
There's water there.
It's a very nice rain garden we have there.
Yeah.
That's wet all the time.
And then when so Matt and Sarah have already been doing some stuff for looking at Wildflower Park with a program similar to this. And this same presentation was presented Monday to the Mizzou Extension in Columbia. So they know we're looking at doing this, and I've asked them to help fund this. So this would be put on the taxpayers of Smithville. It would be something we could go to the Kansas City region on, and the entire Mizzou Extension to help fund this type of program. And bringing 4-H here helps add to that. So.
Yeah, the big part of that proposal is creating the agri-lands, and that goes into the subdivision owners, the developers, and, the upcoming generations are not necessarily looking for the golf community. They're wanting that to be landscaped so they don't have to go down a Whole Foods or something like that. So it's just interesting to see the dynamics change around the food system, and people resorting back to their heritage, so.
And we happen to have 2 wildflower residents here, so what is your guys' opinion on using that park space for this?
I mean, I think it would be a good idea, if nothing else, just to use it for something. But yeah, I mean, because right now it's just hanging out, so.
Yeah,
And then
just a pond. It's pretty gross.
And adding another 200 houses on the south side of it, it's going to be a lot more people there as well. So.
You guys talking about a park that's
The Wildflower Park.
Okay, at Wildflower.
Yeah, 7 acres,
Okay.
undeveloped. We have a few undeveloped parks, and I think that's pretty much the list we have. We've started putting down some trail surface at Diamond Crest. Helvey's got a few picnic tables like you saw out there, but a lot of people don't even know it's there. So our new trail system is going to go right by 3 of these parks on the list. So.
Well, we didn't know until today that you had the compost facility, you don't call it compost facility, the yard waste facility right there at Helvey.
They, not anymore, but
We don't.
they used to have
Okay.
them. So it's our recycled materials, millings and such.
Yeah, so Jeff, the big trend in your world is farm to hospital. It's happening on the coast and because of practice green health, but it all ties into citizen demand thing, so.
If you want to go do a proof point, I've got some land for you. Can't afford the cost, but I could provide the proof point.
Yeah, I just know for Autonomous Medical Center, they took their smoking lounge and turned it into herb and pepper garden, and it's just pretty neat to see. But it was just a small area, no bigger than this, well, probably twice as big as these tables, but just what's going on in the food community is just amazing. And here in Smithville, you know, we used to have the farmers that did 160, 320 acres, and now we've got all these micro farms with people owning half acre to 20 acres popping up, and you know, a lot of people experimenting with gardens again. So being able to do that food map and overlay it so we know from the food resiliency where our food can come from in a time of need, or to get the community healthier. So. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions for them? Are we looking back? No? Okay. All right, we're done for the evening.
Any new business for the next
Oh,
meeting?
that's, yeah. Do we have any new business for the next meeting? I don't think, was there anything that we cut off of?
So November's meeting falls on Thanksgiving, so we probably need to decide to not have it or reschedule it. I think December's is probably gonna be the same way.
Did we have anything that didn't make it on the docket for today?
No, we had it all on there.
Did we? Okay. So it would normally be
Thanksgiving,
November 22nd?
And then 27th,
It is 27th.
Thursday, the 27th.
Okay.
Wait, November?
No, December. November is on
November is
Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving evening.
Yeah, and then December.
December is the 27th.
Do we want to tentatively schedule November, and then if we don't have anything come up, we'll
Yes.
just cancel it? How does the 29th look? We'll do the week after Thanksgiving. We could also do the 15th, that's 4 weeks
29th, I
from now.
think you're busy.
You think I'm busy? Where am I?
You go to St. Joe.
I am?
with Kelly and Angelina.
For what? I'm not going.
Oh, you're not going? Okay.
I'm not in that.
It's on my calendar.
Sorry.
Says right here, Daniel's got something to do.
Oh, is that the, is that the
Yeah.
comedian?
Yes.
Yeah, no. I can't leave Marathon. Oh, he's melting down in the car right now. Okay,
Maybe
so
in the car.
James is in the car with my baby. He's not in the car alone.
Then how about I make a suggestion that we look at the 29th as a tentative date for November? And then
Sounds good.
we can finalize the agenda and decide whether or not we need it, and I'll move to adjourn.
Well, can we,
I'll second that.
I have discussion. Can we go ahead and tentatively schedule December in case we need to cancel that? In case we cancel Thursday, we'll have an option for December. I'd rather not do the 27th because I feel like people are out of
I'm
town.
thinking anything late in the season, they're like the 13th or.
I
Yeah.
think we can take December off in January, and if we don't have to have November, we'll just January, pick it back up.
Okay, cool. So canceling December. And we'll try for November 29th. If you have anything, send me an email. So we have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Who seconded, Mayor?
Yes. All right.
6:41.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Guys, less than 45 minutes. Score. Short meetings are awesome.
I can tell.
Yeah.
We got like every comment like that, right?
I do.